This is Big Business with Sarah, the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to continue building their business and understand you should never stop learning. Welcome to episode 20 of Big Business with Sarah. And today we're going to talk about sales objections. And I have started to really like this conversation. Before I was not selling, I was just getting clients from the get-go. People would just come to me and I would just say, okay, yes, you can work with me. And I never really tried to make the sale. And the funny thing is, I wish someone had explained to me that sales objections are a very, very normal part of the sales process. Nobody ever told me. Thank you so much. And that's why I am saying this to you now. And I will explain what sales objections are later in this episode, but I want to share this with you too. I want to share this for free because I think it's such a valuable lesson that we can all learn. And especially if you're working in the nonprofit sectors, for instance, arts and culture, or any other sector where a commercial approach is not very normal or something or a standard. I made this episode especially for you. As you might know, I am from the nonprofit sector. And yes, I just really wanted to share everything, all the knowledge that I've gained the past 1.5 years when I started to decide to really invest in business coaching. So objection handling is a natural part of selling. Let me just first explain to you what objections are, right? So, I mean, you know, you're hearing me talk about objections all the time and you're thinking, Sarah, what are you talking about? So, an objection is someone is saying, I don't have the money for this right now, or I don't have the time for this, or thank you, but I am already working with someone else on this, or you probably get what I'm saying right now. So having those objections, hearing those objections normally would be really something for me that I would think, you know what? This person really doesn't have money, really doesn't have time, is already working with someone else and doesn't believe that I can help them. So I'm not going to put any more effort in. You know what? Let's just go. And I was already warming up my ink to write that breakup letter with this potential client, this potential lead. So someone goes from a prospect to, or from a lead to a prospect, and that's a potential client to a client. And I was kind of cutting off that sales process then and there once I heard the first objection. Why did I do that? Because I felt also a lot of emotion with that as an interim manager. I worked as an interim manager before. And of course, I was teaching my clients to make very, very wise decisions, not being led by emotions. But actually, I didn't do this myself as an interim manager. So I would feel always very hurt when someone decided not to work with me or not to work with me again. People who would ignore me, and I would, think, what have I done wrong? And very dramatic. And I want you to stop having these emotions or worries about those clients, because you can actually help them make that decision. So, and I also wanted to, the reason why I thought this is why I could actually do this. So that's what I want to tell you. So why is this important? Why is this interesting for you? Is because I remember being an employee of Lush. It's a cosmetics company, and it's all handmade, and some things are vegan, and they're very much about that. And it's just a very fun brand. And when I was beginning of my 20s, I needed a job aside from my studies when I moved to Amsterdam. And I thought, you know what, I love Lush. I didn't have a lot of Lush products back then, but I was already a fan. And of course, when I worked there, I started buying or maybe getting some free Lush stuff so I could sell it. And I was so good at selling. I don't want to brag here, but I loved that. I loved selling. I loved, helping people, and there is the good part, helping people get the product they deserve, because everyone has a different desire, different wishes and everything. And I don't know if you've been into a store of Lush before. This is going to be sponsored by by a certain company, I guess. This episode. No, I'm kidding. But if you're visiting the store, it's not very clear what you can do with everything. Okay, now we know what a bath bomb is for, but before probably you never saw it before. You don't know how it works, why it's so special, why it is so expensive. I'm doing air quotes right near here. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing this. Also, by the way, I'm recording this episode with my camera from my telephone, and I'm quite curious so how the quality is and also what you think of this. So please do give me feedback on if you like this or not. Before this, I was recording this with my computer camera on Zoom. But what I want to share about this is that with Lush, it was all about, I believed in the product. I was so enthusiastic about it, and I wanted other people to see that as well. And I was actually not selling, I was showing. I was showing them what was possible. I was showing what they could do. I was showing what it did to me. And I loved it. And I actually wanted to put that Lush vibe into my own business again. So I started on doing that. So there is many ways of selling, many different approaches you can use, but I want to share with you one that I've liked and adapted in the way that I have enjoyed. So normally for me, I would have, as a business coach, I would have sales conversations either in Zoom or in the DMs or in email or maybe live even sometimes or through telephone. There's all ways that people or WhatsApp people decide, to see if they work with me. And I'm open to any form of communication, right? So I want to be there with my client. And so there's a few phases in the sales process, but I think this could work for any business. So if you are having a shop with products, if you are an artist, there are really ways on how to sell. So first step in the sales process is to listen. Listen what your client needs. Ask them, what do you need? Why do you want to work with me? What is your desire? And just listen to their wishes and try to find what their wishes are. Then the next step in the sales process is to acknowledge. Say something like, you know what, I understand if this is true, right? So you're not making this up. You have to be genuine here. But you can say something like, you know what, I know what you've been going through, understand what you're saying. I have no, not yet. I have, but clients of mine have been going through this. I've spoken to many people, so just some form of acknowledgement. And then when you are afterwards, you are going to ask more questions. Ask, how would this work for you? What is stopping you right now from reaching your goal or from getting what you want? And then listen to that again, and then respond with a recommendation on, for instance, which product or which service they can use. Maybe also try to suggest an alternative. If you're not the right person for the job, then maybe also say, you know what, I know of someone else that can help you, or I know another product. And really try to find that solution with your clients, because that's what a sales conversation is about. And really taking that next step with your clients. And they will thank you for it in one way or another. And so why was I so much better at sales at Lush and not in my own business yet? It was because of that emotion. And I really want you to take that emotion out of the sales process and just think about maybe an emotion that you could have is, or a way of thinking is, how can I help this person on the other side of the line, or on my screen, or wherever you're having that conversation? How can I help this person? So, having this this idea of, okay, I should give a service, I should offer a service to someone by having this conversation. So there's a few objections that I've already talked about before that can happen during the conversation. So, for instance, if you have done the response phase, so that's the last phase which I just talked about, is if they're saying, they don't like your solution because they don't have enough money. So that's a problem of value, right? They think that it's probably not worth the money, spending the money on it, because people always make choices in where they spend their money on, either on new clothes, makeup, maybe skin solutions. Maybe they really don't want to invest in business coaching, but really think it's so much more important for them to have a beautiful car to impress their clients. Okay, that could work. I understand that, but actually showing that value. So always showing value on social media in all your communication with your clients, that is going to help you fight that objection. Another objection could be that maybe there is a lack of trust. They don't think that you can help them. Maybe they say, you know what, I already work with someone, or I already have a similar product. Show them your niche authority. I have spent so many podcast episodes about this actually already before this. There is an episode, I think it's episode number 16, which is talking about this. And every topic about leadership and sales is really about this. So work on your niche authority. I'm not going to dive too deep into this today, but you can definitely look it up and listen to that. So really, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Becoming the authority in your niche, and how you can listen to on those episodes. Maybe there's also a possibility of a lack of need. So people think, you know what, I don't need this right now, but maybe after, for instance, the summer. Try to check if they are right. Are they really right in saying, I don't need this right now? So for instance, as a business coach, when people are saying to me, I don't have time right now, probably there is some sort of problem there, because they decide not to spend their money, which they are making because they are fully booked. They're not spending their money on making their business better. So what is beyond that? Is that really true? Is it not really? Is it really true that they don't need it right now, or are they maybe not sure yet if they should make an investment? And then also the fourth form of objection could be urgency. So really, if that is something that you're finding out, you know what, I don't need it right now, and then you really understand, okay, you know what, I understand what you're saying. Try to schedule an appointment for maybe 2 or 3 months after. Ask them if they can join your mailing list, and email them some value, as I've spoken before you're going to do another pitch again. Because it can actually be that sometimes you're not really ready for a training program, and that people really like you to help them and say, you know what, I understand what you're saying. Let me schedule an appointment with you, or let me schedule a moment with you when I'm coming back to you and check in if you're okay. So what did we talk about today in today's episode is sales objections are a very, very normal part of the sales process. I wish someone had told me before. I told you all about Lush and my experience there. And I also told you about the sales process, which is listen, acknowledge, discover, and response. And I gave you 4 forms of objections, and I also showed you a counter reaction, what is probably the real problem here, and actually that it should be coming from you, what could be their solution. So I want to close today's episode with a quote from Oprah Winfrey. She's saying, "You get in life what you have the courage to ask for." I guess you understand why I'm sharing this one with you, and I totally get that. I went from interim manager, making good money, by the way, and now I am, having a completely different kind of offer, a different client group, and I'm asking for the sale very, very often. And today also marks. So I just want to share this with you. So I've created a download for you. It's the pricing guide. This is a way of seeing what kind of price you could ask, and what works, what is reasonable for you. And I just wanted to create that for you. And also you can find it in the show notes of this episode. And today also marks the last day of the Big Business Masterminds of the doors still open. I'm going to close them very, very soon. We already started with a lovely group of entrepreneurs. I'm already so proud of them, what they've accomplished in these days that we've already worked together. And today there is also an opportunity to start subscribing to a workshop where we're going to talk about your sales plan for Q3 and Q4. And I'm really, really excited about this, actually. I think it's going to really help you. So one of the things that has really helped me in the sales process and really be of service and not, pushing people into something they don't want is to think long term. And Q3, Q4 isn't really long term per se, because it's almost there. But I really do want to show you that once you have a plan, it's probably also going to help you make a sales process much easier. So I thought, I'm going to do a workshop. I'm going to host a workshop, and you can already subscribe to the waitlist. I'm not really sure in which shape or form that workshop will be, but I created a waitlist for you, and it will be somewhere in June, where I'm hosting the workshop. And if you subscribe to the waitlist, you will get all the information, and you will also get a discount because you are one of the first to say, yes, let's do this, Sarah. Okay, thank you so much for listening to this episode, and curious to what you thought, and maybe you want to share with me how some of the objection handling with in your sales conversations have been going. Also, after listening to this podcast episode, I love getting feedback. So good luck with that, and I hope you have a happy day.